Okay, everybody, hello. My name is Taro. Welcome to my arena card review for Festival of Legends. If you cannot tell, I am a little bit sick. This is why it's taken me this long to get this out. I got a cold. It was not COVID, but I got a cold on about Sunday night, Monday morning. Monday was when I was going to do this, and that ended up getting pushed back to today, Wednesday. It's kind of like it's a holiday over here in Taiwan, so I've had the time off to just rest and not do anything. But that's fine by me. So going into Festival of Legends. What is Festival of Legends? Festival of Legends. It's a new expansion in Hearthstone. It's going to bring in a bunch of cards that, quite frankly, we already know what these cards are going to be. A lot of them. So like they're going to have things that come back. We have things like locations here, Mosh Pit. We have a couple of classes that have those. We have a couple classes that have the harmonic cards. Harmonic cards. These swap every turn while in your hand. So this goes from give 4 random minions in your hand +2/+2 to give 2 random minions in your hand +4/+4. We had those back in Witchwood. So we know that those cards, like this is a case where the sum of the value, where the overall score is worse than the sum of the value due to the lack of reliability. So we kind of have an idea what those cards are going to be like. So, and most cards, I think, in this expansion are pretty easy to describe because they have a direct analog to a card from a previous expansion or previous set, so we know where to base our information off of. So, in the expansion, like as I said, harmonic stuff is not really new. The location stuff is not really new. We have a good idea on those. So we have two real new mechanics here. One is a priest core mechanic, Overheal. So as you can see, they've only got like 2 Overheal cards in this expansion, and epic and a legendary here. If we go over to the let's see today, is it updated for standard yet? Okay, this is not working. Standard card Overheal. It is not updated for standard yet with the new core changes. I would have to give me a second. I will find those for you. But with the new core changes, the basically what Overheal does. Overheal means that if you heal a minion for more than its health, more than its maximum health, you get a bonus effect. So for Heartthrob here, the Overheal effect is summon a minion equal to with the cost equal to the amount overhealed. So basically, you heal it with your hero power, you get a random 2/2 minion. We have like over here, we have Heartbreaker Hadanis. 4 mana, 4/8, Battlecry, deal 4 damage to this minion, so it's 4/4, overheal. Deal 5 damage to a random enemy. So if you can heal it for 5, then every time you heal it past 8 health, it will deal 5 damage to a random enemy. Could be a minion, could be face. So you can see how this card can kind of, it becomes kind of like a Dragon Slayer in Hunter, the legendary there. All right, so I found this over here. 1 second. This is the best thing I can provide. This is a list of the core updates. So other overheal cards. We got a Mana Geode over here, which you used to have to heal it to get the 2/2. Now it's just overheal. Crimson Clergy, because Northshire Cleric's going out, just overheal, draw a card. So much easier to activate, but much less burst potential. Holy Champion, which used to be Inspire, gain +2 attack. 4 mana 3/4 is now 2 mana 1/4 with overheal, gain 2 attack. So you can see that these are the overheal cards that you have there. So Priest has a little bit more of a like the overheal, where it works is that if Priest gets ahead and they have an overheal card, then they can get a lot more ahead previously than what they did. Priest is always like a class that plays from ahead, and now they can play from even more ahead. So that's one mechanic. The other mechanic that they have here are finale cards. Finale cards are exclusive to make sure these are. Why is this being weird? Finale cards are cards that are exclusive to Festival of Legends, which basically states that if you end the turn with no mana, Let's see if I can find a finale card here. Let's get the exact wording here. If this spends all your remaining mana, so if you play this and it has no mana, you have no mana, then you get the bonus effect. So this is an example. The Death Knight card, Hardcore Cultist. 3 mana, 2/1, battle cry, deal 2 damage. That's fine. Finale, to all enemies. So you play this on turn 3, you have 0 mana, and this is basically a consecration with a 2/1 attached, right? Okay, so Finale sounds really good, sounds really powerful. So here's the problem with Finale. Finale has a lot of problems though. So number one, this is going to be very, very, very difficult to pull off just based on cards you have in your hand. One of the reasons is going to be even and odd mana cards, and I'm just going to use this right here. So you're pretty much, there's like a couple 1 mana Finale cards, but really you're going to play Finale cards on either turns 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10. And you're going to play, so that's for even number, and you're going to play odd numbers on 3, 5, 7, and 9, right? So number one, we have like odd Finale cards. So if you have 3, let's say you want to get to an even number. You have to add another odd card to your hand, right? So for most classes, their hero power, or like, so if you have to have another odd card, which cuts out half your deck in whether or not you can play the Finale or not. So for this, like any number here, 3 plus any number here is going to be even. So when you get to those later turns, it's going to be, just depending on the card value, really difficult to do that. Like if you have an even card, you can use your hero power. You can use a lot, like you can use 2 odd cards. You can use even cards, and it'll be a lot easier for the even Finale cards to reach their goal, to reach the set mana than the odd Finale cards. So that's one problem. The second problem is that the best way to be able to factor in playing a Finale card is to keep just a bunch of small cards in hand. So if you have a Finale and you want to wait on it, you keep a bunch of small cards in hand so you can kind of like mix and match so you get the right mana. So, I mean, this sounds good, but then there are a lot of turns where it's the better turn for you is to spread. So you want to play those small cards, but then you kind of ruin your Finale. So in terms of like a strategy, that actually does work here. So like it's good for strategy, but that means it's going to be a lot more difficult than you think to trigger the Finale cards. So, and then the third one is going to be when you get to the late game. When you get to turn 10, generally you're running out of cards. You're running out of things that you can play. When you get to the really late game, like these Finale cards, they kind of become worthless, because the Finale aspect is just gone. You're not going to have the mana worth of cards in order to play this. So like those are the 3 drawbacks of Finale. Number one, it's going to be hard to do it just because you need the right mana, right type of mana, even or odd, to make things match. Number 2, it's going to be hard because there's going to be turns where you have to play a very specific way to get the Finale, and it may not be the best turn for you. And number 3, like when you get to the late game, you're not going to have the mana to even reach 10 to begin with. So those are the 3 things that kind of work against Finale. So as a good mechanic, especially for intelligent players, but this is like maybe a 60-65% chance thing that the Finale is going to happen. And then the other things that are coming in that are kind of new. One is the Soloist. So we have had Soloist cards before. We actually have one in Core, Lone Champion. Standard, Lone Champion. If you control no other minions, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. So, we've played with Lone Champion. We know that this goes off a decent amount of time. We know that there's a lot of times where we can't get this to go off, and you do have to play it as a 2/4. Maybe like a 75% chance thing here. So, we know from Lone Champion that it's not a 100% chance thing that will happen. So, for Festival of Legends, they took that effect and they gave it kind of like a half, kind of like its own thing, Soloist. And what Soloist is basically if you control no other minions, gain an effect. So, again, we have an idea. These are cards that are good. They're going to happen a decent percent of the time, but they're not 100% things. And also, there's some cards that, as soloists, they're not exactly the how would I describe it? Like there's some cards where the soloist effect is really powerful, but you may not want to use it while you have an empty board. Yes, I am bringing this up because you may need to trade weird to get this thing to go off. All right. And then the second thing that they have is they've only like 3 neutral cards, but the fan cards. And what the fan cards are is you choose a minion, and that minion gains like a buff or a debuff. So Annoying Fan basically freezes an enemy minion until it dies. Rowdy Fan gives a friendly minion +4 attack. And Obsessive Fan gives a minion stealth. So these are all halfway decent cards. I mean, they're all decent cards. They're all cards you're going to pick. And basically, this means you have to kill this before you can get to something else. And these are cards that will win you games. They're cards that have immediate effects. They're cards that will just do real well for you. Now, in addition to that, there is also going to be the core rotation, which is what I had up over here. I'll go through this in like its own video. I'm going to say this. The core rotation is not nearly as strong as a lot of... it's not really as strong as you would expect. And I think the big reason is that in a lot of the cards, it's basically just a side grade, or it's like a slight upgrade, or it's things like legendaries are going out and legendaries are coming in, or epics are going out, cards you don't really see that much. So overall, the core changes, I did not even rate the core changes for the most part, just because the cards are going to have like small buffs to them, and it's not really worth my time and effort to go through and find like the old values in these cards and try to change them. So as for the neutrals, this is not really a really strong neutral set. There's one card which everybody knows is busted, which everyone knows should be banned from Arena, and that's Paparazzi. So what's Paparazzi? Paparazzi, 3 mana, 3/4, Battlecry, discover a legendary minion. So, hold on. Hello, Hearthreno. Let's go to neutral. Let's go to legendary minions. So, these are the great legendary minions over here. If you add all of this up on this side here, and you put it over here, it's basically the same. Because you got like 6 here, you got 5 here, you got 5 here, you've got 9 here, you've got 1, yeah. So you've got basically 10, 14, 16, 17, 23, 6, 29. So it's basically half the legendary cards are great, and half the legendary, and that's not even including the good ones here. And half the legendary cards are kind of like mediocre or situational. So you can see the problem. This, like when we had the Discover a Dragon cards, the Mage 4 mana 2/3, okay, spell damage +2, no one cared. You took that card at a really, really high rate because Discover a Dragon was so strong. And here is a 3 mana 3/4, really good card on curve, really good card for the mana, and you get to discover a legendary. And what legendaries are there? There are Colossals. There are Dragons. There is just a lot of absolutely insane stuff that is going to still be in Arena next year. So it's basically, if you have this card, your opponent doesn't, you are on. You're pretty much, I'm not going to say automatically guaranteed to win. That's a little bit too strong, but you have such a strong advantage in terms of card quality that it's just blatantly unfair. So I think everyone knows this card is busted. So like that's the number 1 card. And then the number 2 card is Concert Promo Drake. 8 mana, 8/8, tradable, finale, destroy an enemy minion. So basically, you play this on 8, you can destroy a random enemy minion. We know that's strong. You play this on 10, you hero power, and you can destroy a random enemy minion. That's very strong. Except if you're Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter gets the shaft here because they have the 1 mana hero power. That screws them up. And it's tradable, so you can trade this off in the early game. Do you want to trade this off in the early game? I don't really know. Like, I think this is one of those cards where the fact that you, like, it's so strong you may not want to trade it off, even if you have it in your opening hand. But Anyways, this is really, really good. I don't know if it's Twin Tyrant levels, just for a couple reasons. Number one, board states are kind of weird. So destroy a random enemy minion, I would rather have the two 4 damage things, probably. Number two is that, again, you can't play this on turn 9. You're forced into playing your hero power or a 2-drop with this. So like there are going to be times where this is not going to be like a completely busted card. Close, like it's very close, it's right up there. But really, outside those 2 cards, there really isn't anything in the set that's busted or is anything that we haven't seen before or really pushes the power level. So, alright, that's just basically my overview. The next video I'm going to run down the core set and I'll run down the core changes. And I'll go, as I said, I'll talk about the changes. I'm not going to give scores or anything like that, but I'll just give kind of like a rough approximation of that. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video.